Yes, today I'm going to give you a tip about how to triumph over trauma. That's exactly what I'm going to share with you because I am facing it myself. One of the things that trauma does, if you've experienced for any length of time, is it impacts your life in ways that create patterns of behavior, coping skills that have a very unhealthy foundation. They come out of sometimes immature perceptions, misperceptions, faulty for whatever reason, for whatever source. We put them together because they make sense at the time, they seem effective at the time, and then they get embedded in our lives, right in our neural pathways. Thank God, literally, that Jesus created us with plasticity in our brains. So yes, while the pressures of this world, the lies, the confusion that come with trauma, and manipulate our brains and our behaviors and our patterns, that they can be altered by the truth, by the presence of God, by the transforming power of Jesus. Yes, let me explain. I'll give you a great illustration. It's a great illustration today at the gym. Yeah, I just got home. So a trainer was teaching me a couple of years ago how to do what's called, when my hair is funny or sticking out, it distracts me, literally distracts me. Maybe most people it doesn't bother, but it bothers me. Okay. The trainer was teaching me how to do a split squat. And it means taking one foot and putting it on something up, which where I was, there were a couple of little steps. So up two or maybe two steps, I think. And then because your other foot is planted further back and you lean forward to stretch your hip. Now, actually, you're stretching the hip of the leg that's back. But I didn't know that. That wasn't described to me. And I know a lot more now, 2 years later, than I knew back then. But when this trainer was teaching me, he said, okay, go ahead, stretch forward. And I had my hand on the rail for this step. And I was leaning a little weight on my arm because I didn't want to hurt my leg, my knees. And as I was going forward, I was getting a lot of pain in that forward knee. Hi, welcome. I'm explaining when a trainer taught me how to do split squats a couple of years ago. So the trainer was encouraging me to go forward, really lean into this squat, this split sort of thing to stretch my hip. But he didn't say which hip. And as he said that, my knee started to hurt. He didn't ask me if it hurt. He didn't say if you get pain anywhere, stop. He never said anything like that. So I had no idea. But as I stretched, and I'm just trying to do everything he said, and offloading a little weight on my hand, my arm, and the knee was really hurting me. And he said, okay, that's good. That's really good. That's good form. That's whatever. And I thought, okay. And then we did it on the other side. We did it back and forth a couple times. Oh, that's really great. That's great form. Good for you. And in my untrained, uneducated, actually, I was in my 70s. I think I'm a mature enough person to pay attention to things and make recognition, and pay attention. That's okay. So to me, it meant do this split squat until my knee hurts pretty much. That was my focus. That was my measure that the form, that the exercise was it going to be effective to stretch my hip. I wasn't even aware of which hip I was stretching. But that's what I thought. And that became my standard, my measurement, my awareness of that particular exercise that was supposed to be really helpful for my hips. As a matter of fact, he said, and as you progress, you'll be able to raise up a little something on the foot that you put up forward. Put a little weight. That's what I use, little 5-pound weights off of one of the other machines underneath my heel, which only stressed the knee worse. I worked on that way probably a year anyway, probably. Measuring my performance by how much pain I had in my knee. Seriously and literally. Because that's how I was taught. That's the way on the inside of me, measured that it was the correct form. That's all that I knew. And then, I don't know, a few months ago, I sorted it out myself. I thought, okay, I can't keep doing this. I need to figure out a way. And then when I shifted the weight off of the knee, the leg going forward, and I put the weight on the backward hip, the one where my foot was behind, I realized, oh, look at that. There's weight on that hip. That hip is now being stretched. Oh, well, wait a minute. The knee is not hurting. I'm getting weight on that hip. I'm stretching that hip. And the pain is gone. It's not measured. That exercise is not measured by the pain in my knee. It's supposed to be measured by the stretching that happens in the other hip. So when my left foot is forward, that knee doesn't hurt at all because my right hip, which is the foot that's backward, is being stretched, which is the point of the exercise. Now that's a physical representation of what goes on in our lives. There are numerous things coming at us. There's, I'm going to use an example, hypothetical, where there are financial stresses, there are physical stresses, there are emotional stressors, pressure in so many areas. And we choose probably, well, according to what we know, looking at those things, emotional, physical, and also, hi, Robin, welcome. When we look at the stresses on our lives that are emotional, relational, I could throw that one in, physical, or financial, or any number of other stresses that are pressuring on us, we could look at that and choose the thing that we think, that's what I try to do, is creating the greatest pressure, the most uncomfortable pressure. And in that list, the thing that I could actually do something about. Relationship pressure, I can only do my part. And you need two people involved in a relationship. You have to have two wings on a plane so it can fly. And if the other person isn't really interested or they're not capable, then it's trying to fly a plane with only one wing. So a lot of times relationship issues are just more demanding than other things. Then, I don't know, check the other ones. Maybe you want to get a different job. That's a big effort. There's whatever. But the financial thing, if I just picked up an extra job, if I only cut back on this, okay, good. I could make financial changes, and that will help take the pressure off finances. But the problem is that the impact from trauma often affects that prioritizing there. And so when we look at the thing we look at the list of stresses and we choose the topic that as a casual review looks like it's the easiest, finances. I'll just get a part-time job or cut back on my expenses. And then hypothetically, then it will all work. The problem is, if you have a history of trauma where your decision making has been affected by things in the past, and you want to avoid the relationship topic or some other topic, maybe you have an overpowering boss at work and it's really unhealthy, but it's going to mean you have to deal with that person and you have to get job interviews and it's a big shift. That's just too much. But the reality is that relationship with your boss is what's driving you nuts. And no amount of correction in cutting back your expenses or getting a part-time job is not going to solve the main issue. And so we get distracted. As a matter of fact, I have somebody who calls that distraction therapy. And so we get busy down here when really what's going on is this other area. And it could also be spiritual, by the way. It can be mental, it can be physical, it can be spiritual. And so I just caught myself actually in this sort of a dynamic, not those exact issues, but in this sort of a dynamic. And I realized, wait a minute, Sandra, this is part of the trauma pattern. And the issues that really need to be addressed, you need to pause and look at. So today I'll probably do that, write things out, not pros and cons, but in order to figure out priority. And that needs to be done. For those of us that know Jesus, that needs to be done, enlightened by, participating in the presence of God, coming before the Father for his plan. This is how I kind of lay out their roles. You don't have to do that, but it is the way I do it. And then Jesus, who's the shepherd, he's paying attention to the wounds that need healing, to the wounds I need to avoid, and et cetera, et cetera. And Holy Spirit, of course, is the messenger in here to weigh messages. And even though finances may be an issue, the bigger ones behind it are actually what's driving the upset that's going on. And we need to get that sorted out. And the only way we can do it is if we go to Jesus. Take every thought captive, put it in a straitjacket, put handcuffs on it, take it directly to Jesus. Doesn't mean don't feel it. And actually, it means to feel it and take all of that to Jesus. The same way the Samaritan woman needed to do that at the well. Sure, she did. She absolutely had to look at what was really going on and what really needed to be corrected to enjoy the water that that quenches your thirst forever. So I'm going to be working on that today. If that's you, I just want to encourage you the same thing, to do the same thing and build this sort of it is something that I'm aware of and I have worked on this before, but this is how trauma is. It rises and falls and different things trigger different, old traumas that you thought were taken care of. Look, I want to say it again. Awareness. Awareness is God's invitation to change. He now made Sandra aware and she's going to go address some things because it's my opportunity. It's his invitation and it's my opportunity to make a change. Can't do it unless you have that awareness. I'm so thankful. Now I'm excited. I was pretty not looking forward to the day. Now I'm really looking forward to it. So there's the tip. Make sure that you are focusing your energy in the correct direction on those topics that are stressing you out. prioritize the one that's really at the core. Don't be fighting all these little, what I call little campfires out in the field that you can see. Put it all together and get to the core issue. That's where the focus needs to be, where it will be effective. And ask, when you take all that angst and all that thinking and so on to Jesus, listen to what he has to say, not the little inner voice that trauma wants to inform. Okay, enjoy your day and week. This is Monday, so enjoy your day and your week. Thanks for sticking, Robin. God bless you. Leave comments, leave shares. Let other women know how important it is in terms of recognizing and reclaiming our design and enjoying our purpose. Those Ephesians 2:10 things. Alrighty, bye-bye.